Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurin Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Applause for Basu Ghosh, who says that if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had not come, how could we have maintained our lives? Who could have informed the world about the glories of Srimati Radharani, which are the ultimate limit of love of God?
Кто бы рассказал всему миру о славе Шримати Радхарани, которая является ultimate limit of
love of God, prema,
которая является высшим проявлением любви к Богу, према.
The essence of all intelligent activities is the service of the gopis to Krishna within the sweet groves of Vrindavan. But who, if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had not come, who would have had the ability to understand the ecstatic service of the gopis? Who but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has the power to deliver that? So Basu Ghosh recommends again and again sing the glories of the transcendental qualities of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, making the mind simple, in other words, free from duplicity. Sharala Karyaman. In this world, which is like a great ocean of birth and death, we do not find anyone as merciful as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he says again, how could we have maintained our lives? Because the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu I never took an interest in that. I never had interest in chanting the names of Gauranga. So, without chanting the glories of Gauranga, how can we maintain our lives? But Basu Ghosh laments that Lord Brahma has made my heart, how has he made my heart out of stone, so I cannot appreciate this. I'm going to speak on the causes of the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu along the pattern of a lecture given 13 years ago by Srila Gaur Govinda Swami. As stated in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, there are external causes and internal or reasons for the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is stated that the external reason for the appearance of the Lord is to teach the Yoga Dharma of Hari Sankirtan. Kali Yoga Dharma hoy Hari Sankirtan Etad Arte Abartino Sri Shachinandan. In Kali Yuga, the Dharma is Hari Sankirtan. And Sri Shachinandana has descended for this purpose, to teach this. Ekohi Bhagavata Sarva Taptasha Kirtan Nimitta Gaura Chandra Avatar. The essence of all the tattvas, all the subjects taught in Srimad Bhagavatam is actualized in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's coming to teach Kirtan. Kali Juge Sarva Dharma Hari Sankirtan Shabha Prakashilen Chaitanya Narayan. All the religious processes in Kali Yuga are concentrated in Hari Sankirtan. This was all revealed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kali Yuga Sankirtan Dharma Pali Bare Avatirna Haila Prabhu Sharva Parikare. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came with all his associates to introduce and maintain the Sankirtan Dharma in Kali Yuga. As it's stated about Lord Nityananda Prabhu, who did the work of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Durlabha Brahmara Prem Shabakare Jache. That prem which is difficult to even imagine for Lord Brahma, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda and all their associates are freely giving to everyone. Therefore, he is known as Prem Purushottam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who's fully concentrates on prem. Even Krishna in his various pastimes had various functions to perform, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's only function is tasting and distributing prem. When Krishna came, he taught that we should love him. He said, Manmana Bhava Madbhakta, become my devotee. But he did not freely distribute love of Krishna. He said, Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshosti na priyaha yevajanti tumam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaha. I'm equal to all. I don't favor or disfavor anyone. But if someone is my devotee, I reciprocate with that. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's neutrality towards all living beings was more dynamic. That if people were not inclined to be devotees, then Brahma Durlabha Prem Shabakara Jate. He gave the love of Krishna even to those who are not very much desiring it. So Krishna, he said, you surrender to me, but he didn't practically teach how to do that. This practical teaching of how to be a devotee is done by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Generally, he did not advertise himself as Bhagavan. Among his own devotees, those who were surrendered to him, sometimes only, he revealed himself as Bhagavan. But rather, he presented himself as being one who was trying to cultivate Krishna consciousness. In this way, he taught people in general how to become a devotee. People in Kali Yuga are extremely sinful. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he, being very merciful, he gave them a very easy process by which they could become free from sins and develop love of Krishna. Krishna, seeing the condition of the people in Kali Yuga, made a decision. Juga dharma pravataimu nama shankitan chari bhava bhakti diya nachamu bhuvan. That I will go to the world and inaugurate the Yuga Dharma of Nama Sankirtan. And by giving emotional, ecstatic love of God in 4 rasas, I shall make the whole world dance. Apani karemu bhakti bhava angikare. Apani achari bhakti shikaimu shabare. I will personally accept the mood of a devotee. And by acting as a devotee, I shall teach the whole world how to act as devotees. Because apane na koile bhakti shikan na jai eto siddhanta gita bhagavate gai. Because unless one personally practices the principles of bhakti, then he cannot teach it to others. This is the conclusion of Gita and Bhagavat. So this is called the external reason for the Lord's descent. Actually, when we say external, it doesn't mean that it's superfluous. The benefit of the jivas is it is it's of the Lord's heart. He is desiring that. But the internal reason is described because that is directly relating to the Lord's own Krishna's own personal direct relationship with Srimati Radharani, which is the very essence of his existence. So the internal cause for his appearance is described in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Shri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kidrisho Va Anayai Va Swadyo Yenadvuta Madhurima Kidrisho Va Madiyaha Sokyam chasyamad anubhavata kidrisham veti lobhat tadbhavadhya samajani satchigarbha sindhu harinduhu. This word comes, kidrishaha comes 3 times. It's a question. What is this? So, Krishna, after exhibiting his unparalleled pastimes at the topmost standard of transcendental love, those pastimes which are in which his loving devotees interact with him simply for his pleasure, and he reciprocates with them, getting more pleasure from giving them pleasure than he does from the own direct pleasure he receives from them. But still, Krishna found himself asking 3 questions. Krishna wanted to know, what are the Shiradhaya Pranaya Mahima? What are the glories of the love for me that Radharani has? What is the nature of that feeling that Radharani experiences upon seeing my beauty? And how can I experience what Radharani experiences in her love for me? Because Krishna, he is known as the Bhokta. In Bhagavad Gita, he describes himself as Bhokta, the enjoyer. And everything is meant for his enjoyment. And all the devotees, they simply live so that by their every breath, every thought, every word, everything is meant only for Krishna's pleasure. And of all the devotees, Srimati Radharani is the topmost. Anaya radhito nunam Bhagavan Haririshvaraha. Her very name means she who best worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, Krishna is the Vishaya Vigraha. He is the object of all the devotees' love. And Radharani and all the devotees, they are Ashraya Vigraha. They are the receptacles of that love. They have that love. So Krishna recognizes that this love that they have for me, relishing that love, is more enjoyable than all the enjoyment I get from receiving their love. This is a highly elevated topic. Even many staunch Vaishnavas in other sampradayas, they cannot even begin to approach these topics. They have no conception of them. Now here it's said that the word is given lobha. Krishna feels lobha, greed, to understand what are these 3 things. Now generally this lobha is not considered very good. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that Trividham narakasyedam, Trividha again. Trividha narakasyedam dwaram nashanam atmanaha. He said there are 3 kinds of gates that lead to hell. 3 gates that lead to hell, and they destroy all spiritual understanding. What are those 3 gates? Who can say? Let's see if any right. You got it? What is it? They said it? Okay. Yeah. Kama, Krodha and Lobha. Lust, greed and Kama, lust, Krodha, anger, and Lobha, greed. So normally if we say this person is Lobhi, that means he's greedy. That's not a very good description. But here Krishna himself expresses his greed. So the greed in Krishna is a desirable quality. Everything originates in Krishna, and Krishna's greed is also transcendental. And even for devotees, it is recommended to give up mundane greed, but we should have spiritual greed. In fact, unless we have spiritual greed, we cannot attain Krishna. Krishna bhakti rasa bhavitamatihi kriyatang yadi katopi labhyate tatra lolyam api mulyam ekalam janma koti sukritayra na labhyate. He said that the taste of the rasa of the ecstatic love in Krishna consciousness, if it's being sold in any place, of course bhakti can't be sold, but this is an analogy, then one should by all means purchase it. So what money should we give to purchase bhakti? Dollars, rubles, rupees, plain pure gold, julania. Lolyam means very strong desire. Greed. Otherwise, by any other means except transcendental greed, we cannot attain love for Krishna, even in many millions of lives of performing mundane pious activities, such as feeding hungry children, which is the best service to Krishna, according to some people. So, the pure greed, the greed of the devotee to serve Krishna, that is transcendental. And Krishna himself has greed to taste, to understand what is the position of Srimati Radharani. But how can Krishna take the position of Srimati Radharani? Because he's Vishaya Vigraha. Everyone's offering everything to him. As long as he's Krishna, then he can't be Radha. So he takes the position of Radha. Actually, Radha and Krishna are non-different in one sense. In the language of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, I guess there's no use in saying because you can't translate it anyway, but they are the, the dominating and predominated parts, moieties of the Absolute Truth. Moiety means like a half. Radha and Krishna are inseparable. This Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he describes that Taparahit Suraj Nahi Jani, Krishna Virahit Radha Virahit Krishna Nahi Mani. He says that just as we cannot imagine a sun without heat and light, so we cannot accept Krishna without Radha. So Radha and Krishna are one. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikriti Hladine Shakti Razmat Ekatmanav Api Bhuvi Pura Deha Vedam Gatoto Chaitanyakyam Prakatam Yad Adhuna Tadvayam Chaikyamaptam Radha Bhava Duty Sudalitam Nomi Krishna Swarupam. Radha and Krishna are in essence one, because Radha knows nothing but Krishna and Krishna knows nothing but Radha. But for serving each other and tasting their pastimes, they appear as two. This is affected by the Hladini Shakti, the Krishna's pleasure potency, which is based on, nourished by, and wholly permeated and non-different from the transcendental love between Radha and Krishna. But those two who are one have again become one as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, they have now become, as Swarup Damodar says. He was there, right there, writing, with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sitting right in front of him. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna, but fully imbued with the feelings and bodily luster of Srimati Radharani. So Krishna, who is Vishaya Vigraha, who is known as Purna Purushottam, the full manifestation of the Absolute Truth, of the full manifestation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, feels himself incomplete. This is wonderful. So he takes the position of the Ashray Vigraha to understand who he himself is, to relish the taste of appreciating how wonderful he himself is. This is extremely subtle subject matter, but even philosophically we can understand that we can understand that the Absolute Truth must be complete in all respects. There is nothing lacking in this Supreme Absolute Truth. So just as there is a long-standing controversy between those who say that the Absolute Truth is Dvait, two, or those who say Advait, who say that the Absolute Truth is one. But the Absolute Truth, to be complete, must be both one and two, simultaneously. Impersonal and personal. Notwithstanding the apparent contradiction between the two states. So in the same way, the Supreme Absolute Truth would seem that intrinsically he must be the Vishaya Vigraha, or the object of everyone's love. But he cannot be debarred from the position of Ashraya Vigraha. He must also be that, or the abode of that love. So the Lord has greed. Even in his all the different incarnations of the Lord, the Ram, Nrsimha, Varaha, Kurma, they also consider themselves servants of Govindavadi Purusham, even though they are non-different from him. In the Das-avatar, or the chronological appearance of the avatars, we find that the first three are in what appear to be, what from our anthropocentric perspective appear to be non-human. The first three are Matsya, Kurma and Varaha. And even though Varaha appeared from the nostril of Lord Brahma, it wasn't really like a father-son relationship. Then the fourth avatar is Narasimhadev. He appears from a pillar. There's no rasa with a pillar, especially when it's broken into pieces. But Nrsimhadev saw, after he'd killed Hiranyakashipu, Prahlad was sitting on his lap, and he was very happy to have a fatherly relationship with the newly orphaned Prahlad. Well, his mother was still alive. But he could perceive that as much as he was bestowing affection upon Prahlad, Prahlad was feeling even more pleasure from the affection he received from Narasimha Swami. So Nrsimhadev thought, this is very nice. I'd also like to sit on someone's lap and be petted. So he resolved that in my future incarnations, I'm going to have a father and mother too. So next came, who's next? After Nrsimha. Vaman Dev. Very nice little boy. Everyone appreciated. How nice to see. Father's name, mother's name? No, wrong. Kashyap and? Kashyap Mataji, Aditi. He was so beautiful and attractive that even the sister of Bali Maharaj, who was demoniac by nature, when she saw him, her name was Ratnamala, she thought, oh, what a nice young boy. I'd also like to hold him to my breast and let him suck my milk. So Vamandev was such a beautiful child. Later Ratnamala, when she understood this was Vishnu, her attitude changed. But because she had that attitude, she had the opportunity in the next life to breastfeed Krishna. She came in a very exalted dynasty of Rakshasas. Her brothers were Agha and Baka, Aghasura, Bakasura, and her name was Putana. So the Lord also came. After Krishna, as much as Krishna being famous for the son of Nanda and Yashoda, it's also as much famous in India how Ramachandra Bhagavan is the son of Kaushalya and Dasharath. Okay, that's good. So Ram, he also had many devotees. They had wonderful, loving relationships with them. So much so that to this day, thousands and millions of people in India take pleasure in hearing of the wonderful pastimes of Lord Ram. But from the perspective of the Gauriya Vaishnavas, the relationship the devotees have with Lord Ram is very restricted. Even Lord Rama has friendly relationship with those kings. Ram is a king, and Sugriva, Vibhishana, they're kings. So, friendly relationship. But the friendship of devotees like Sugriva, Vibhishana, Lakshman, it's heavily overlaid by awe and respect. The friendship of Krishna's cowherd boyfriends, they will steal his lunch packet, they will climb on his shoulders, slap him on the back. Vibhishana will not climb on the shoulders of Lord Ram. There is no question. He would consider it a great offense. And apart from Sita Devi, Ram has he only has Sita Devi. He doesn't have many wives and many girlfriends. And even Sita Devi even her love for Lord Ram is mixed with feelings of great awe and respect. So Krishna develops in the previous incarnations. They know that the full Leela Purushottam, the one who relishes the form of the Lord, who relishes the wonderful loving pastimes in the highest level of love, is Krishna. That's why even when devotees agreed to reciprocate with the Lord in a very intimate relationship, just like the Dandakaranya rishis, the Lord Ram told them, you come next time, when I'm coming as Krishna. You come that time. This time, can't do anything for you. Wait till next time. So the topmost devotees, topmost greed to interact with the Lord is satisfied in his topmost. It's very difficult to say in English, actually, the word. They don't have any proper words for this. But anyway, with Krishna, who's the topmost manifestation, I guess you can say, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the Lord Himself, His own desire, has to be satisfied in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When He forgets that He is Krishna and goes out searching for Himself. Where is Krishna? So here is Krishna looking for Himself, feeling experiencing the ecstasy of Srimati Radharani in searching out Krishna. So these are extremely elevated topics, which we may not discuss, certainly not with the public, but we should understand these topics. At least we should hear these topics. Real understanding comes with realization. But this understanding is what distinguishes Gauriya Vaishnavas from other Vaishnavas. And it is the special gift that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give. Anarpita chiring chirat karunya avatirno kalo samapyata munatajvala rasa svabhakti shriyam Hari purata sundra dyuti kadamba sandipita sada hridya khandare spurta va shachinandanaha. This Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes after Krishna once in a day of Brahma, which means that in a whole day of Brahma, and which is a very long time by human calculation, this highest love of Krishna remains unoffered. None of the previous avatars gave this highest love of Krishna as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given. They are not capable of giving. Only Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can give. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu most mercifully gives this highest love of Krishna in the most degraded age of Kali. So, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami at the beginning of his Chaitanya Charitamrita invokes this benediction upon his readers, using the same words that Rupa Goswami had used to invoke benediction upon the readers of his Lalita Madhava Nartak. Lalita Madhava. So, let us receive this benediction and invoke it on others. That may that Satchinandana manifest himself within the deepest recesses of our hearts. Sada Hridaya Kandare Spuratu. May he ever be resplendent within the cause of our heart. So please try to understand philosophically who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he dedicates the first several chapters of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita to understanding Gaur Tattva, the philosophical understanding of who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There are many, after that he recounts many wonderful pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But we should note how he has given the philosophical understanding first. Because without understanding who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we cannot enter into the proper understanding of his pastime. Hare Krishna. Sada Hridaya Kandare Spuratu Va Shaktinandanaha. May Shaktinandan ever be manifested within the cause of our hearts. Is this Chaitanya Charitamrita is published in Russian now? Part of it. So please read this Chaitanya Charitamrita. The pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are summarized in that Russian book, Gauranga. Someone was relating to me how one Russian devotee had said that this Gauranga book is so wonderful because they've taken out all the nectar from Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Bhagavat. In other words, they've given all the leelas without any philosophy. But this means there's no understanding of how to understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami tells us that, what is that? Chaitanya daya kata karaha bicha karele chitte pabe chamatkar. We should try to understand what is the nature of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. Then our hearts can actually be struck with wonder. So, Gaur Leela is undoubtedly wonderful, but we should not take it as simply some stories. We should understand who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Please read Chaitanya Charitamrita with the purports very thoroughly.